Hi, we are pleased that you have joined our webinar, Break the Top of the Funnel Code and at Lower Prospecting Costs per Sale. We're really happy to share our tips. We know that to sell even more, you have to be in the door more, and that all starts at the top of the funnel, getting your foot in the door. We are going to actually share 2 great tips on how to talk to the executives, so those are the decision makers and high influencers. And then when you get them on the phone, how do you overcome their objections and how do you qualify them so that you set that actual appointment? Quickly, who we are. I am Marge Beeler with Rare Agent. I am in charge of all our programs, so that is the training, the social media, and the managed as a service for our sales side. I am top 1% of LinkedIn Social Selling Index. I believe I obtained that status because Rare Agent, all we do is on the front of the funnel, how to get in the door. I've been blessed to be awarded by American Association Inside Sales Professionals and also Sales Lead Management Association for my work with Inside Sales. I'm a blogger. I've blogged for LinkedIn, Pipeliner CRM, Inside View, and my LinkedIn address is there, and I'd love for you to connect. Larry, I'd like to introduce Larry Duckworth.
Thank you, Marge. I'm Larry Duckworth. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer Consultant to Rare Agent and also for Rare Agent customers and for other customers too. I'm a former CEO, COO, Chief Marketing Officer, and Chief Sales Officer of public and private companies for over 35 years. So I'm the type of person to whom you'd want to sell and how the deciders think out there, and I help Marge position the value propositions and so forth for that receiver being motivated to spend time with our prospects. I'm a leadership and marketing author. A couple of my books and ebooks are there. I do a lot of strategy for executives, often brought in by venture capitalists and others to help that company grow faster. I'm also a trainer. I love to train, and that's for executives, for SOAR selling, which you're going to see later, a very dynamic method to get in the door in a very unique way, and also challenger selling once in the door, which includes education and leadership of the mind of that prospect to go places they wouldn't normally get to without your leadership. I'm also a SOAR trainer, and I've trained all of the Rare Agent agents on SOAR. It's the only such prospecting company in the market that has that SOAR training under their belt. And there's my LinkedIn address. Now let's get some context under our belt first. Most sales training is for once you get in the door. Dale Carnegie, Challenger Sales, and many in between. For Dale Carnegie, I've taken that training. The head of the Dale Carnegie of Georgia is an ex-employee and a very good friend of mine. I like the Challenger Selling because it's got a lot of education to it. I still carry my Xerox Selling Skills 2 card around. I've trained on that. Now it's part, Chief Global acquired it. Now it's part of Miller Heiman. All these are good, but they have the presumption that you're in the door. But the reality is you have to get in first, which is a whole different skill set than once you're in. There are lots of barriers you have to get through, and they can be very, very tough, and they're very daunting. You have multiple gatekeepers, receptionists, assistants, phone system issues, travel problems, and so forth. So how do you get through those barriers very effectively? We're going to share tips in that regard. And what Rare Agent does, as you'll see, and this is what you need to do too as part of these tips, is combine social media contacting and SOAR selling phone contacting. It's a 1 + 1 = 4 combination. Now, what this is about is becoming metaphorically Olympic gold medal winners. These 5 circles are set up in that regard. On the left side, and most importantly, you have to be able to get to up to 90% of the decision makers and high influencers who will get you the decision makers before you're able to do a B2B sale. To do that, you have to get through all of these very, very zealous guardians that are doing their job. They're trying to protect that executive from opportunity costs. They're very good at their job of avoiding things that getting through that should not get through, but they can be outmaneuvered. Then once you get through, and we'll show you how to do that, you must have a great value statement grab, we say in the first 30 seconds, that really grabs their attention, and you're only after one thing: tell me more. You're not trying to close a sale at that first 30 seconds. You just want them to give you 2, maybe 3 more minutes. Then you want to then set up an appointment because your value proposition in that 2 or 3 minutes is so strong, they say, yeah, this is worth our spending time. Time is the unspoken key currency. They're so busy, they won't get things done during that process. So is this new insight worth that time they're not spending on other things? Now, they can very well throw up a number of objections. Don't have a budget. Too busy. Like what we're doing, like our vendor, tried it didn't work, and several others. But what you have to do, we'll teach you about that today, is how to turn that objection into an energy force for you. It's artistic. It's a little bit of spinmeister, but we'll show you the path to do that, because you must work with them and bond with them first, and then steer them back to why your solution really goes to the principle of the objection they have. Then you have to qualify. If you're going to be a senior account manager or turn this over to account managers, you want to make sure they're spending their time on things that really count, because you're focused on getting appointments. Where you're going to be on a personal visit. If you're going to go to Chicago, you want to try to line up 5 of these for a highly productive trip. If you're going to do a visual webinar with a team of prospects on their side, you want to make sure it's person to person. All B2B selling at the end of the day is person to person. A buying team of people, a selling team of people. You must have that interpersonal discussion visually for that deal to get done. So we're going to go through tips for social media and phone contacting, the proper mindset for prospecting. Prospecting is hard, so you have to have the mindset to get through the difficulties. We're going to teach you the mechanics of how to do that. We're also going to talk about setting a good, strong, grabbing value statement, how to leverage objections, and how to lock in an appointment. Now, the agenda will talk about social contacting, social media-based research and contacting, and social media contacting itself. I'll then talk about mindset and mechanics with phone contacting decision makers or high influencers, and value statements and overcoming objections, and how to get that person, that eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly appointment, which it's going to take for that deal to happen. Now, as I said, I'm a SOAR trainer, and I give real credit to Barnell and Dave Hibbert at Dialexis Incorporated for what they've come up with. I first saw SOAR when I was being recruited to be a CEO roundtable leader for this company, and they gave us a day of SOAR training, and I was just very impressed how unique it is. And in that training, Dave Hibbert has a great metaphor. You've got to have a magnet that compels you. Again, prospecting is hard. You have to have something so compelling you're willing to put up with the difficulty and the fear of rejection and all the things that come with that. That magnet must be compelling. His great story is that the wildebeest in Africa have to cross the Zambezi River twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall, and that Zambezi is full of crocodiles. And they know how dangerous it is, but they're so compelled to get across that they do it. And that's what a magnet has to do. Dave says, go to the beach and figure out your magnet. Now, that could be a red Ferrari, it could be a second home in Hilton Head, early retirement, it could be your college children's education. All of those are good magnets. But I'm going to share with you a third dimension of magnets that I think are really the secret sauce to being a great prospector. The first is be a giver. I've never met a happy taker or an unhappy giver. Givers give. They'll go to any length to give. If you look at the Medal of Honor winners, by far the biggest group is people who went out under fire and saved their comrades or saved civilians. They were the ultimate givers. Some of them didn't make it back, but they were giving. And you don't need to put yourself in fire, but you need to have that attitude. I'm going to help people no matter what. Even more than that, be a sheepdog for prospects. When I was in military police, we were sheepdog. We were protecting the lambs from the wolves. And in that regard, if you remember the breakfast scene in American Sniper, the father is about my age, military also, told his 2 boys, Chris Kyle and his brother, to be sheepdogs, protect the sheep from the wolves. And your prospects have wolves all around them. competitors, financial problems, economic changes, new laws, etc. And if you're really there in your heart of hearts protecting them from the wolves, it's amazing the power that you will have. And they will pick that up in your body, in your verbal language, not only what you say and how you say it. You're there to help. Be a questor. Try. Go for it no matter what, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, as a great play says. Be a Don Quixote. The sweet Dulcinea is that prospect. You're going to do anything for that prospect to be successful. Likewise, be a boxer. Being a good boxer, and I boxed some, my brother was a boxer in the West Point, and it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep punching. You're going to get hit when you're prospecting. When your people are prospecting, they're going to get hit. Have them come right back. They can't give up. And that goes to the last little graphic we have. Never give up. Go over, around, and through. Whatever your situation is not going to be as precarious as this person here. So things could be worse. But don't give up. Stay in there. We're going to show you a video a little later about how people would normally give up and have to call back 50 times, but this SOAR training, how it gets them through right away, et cetera, et cetera. But never give up. I'm going to turn it back to Marge now for some contacting tips.
Thanks, Larry. So think about how you like to be approached, and usually what resonates with someone is humor or emotion. So I use this cartoon a lot when I'm contacting people, either via social media or LinkedIn. I use humor, and it usually creates an emotion. If you're a sales VP and you read this and you laugh because you know that maybe you don't have enough in your funnel, and how true it is that, if you've lost it, it's actually somebody else's opportunity. Second is find and mention connectors, and connectors are ways that you can bring credibility or instant credibility in topics. So for example, if you went to college and college football just finished this weekend and UGA, use one of the UGA football team's members' name. That would be a way to connect. Use people you know on LinkedIn or companies or articles. People love to ask for help or give help. I ask for help a lot, but I also give help a lot. When I look at LinkedIn or if I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and I see a question, I will go ahead and go out of my way to help that individual, and people love that. That's how I've gotten a lot of business, by giving free advice and how-tos, and they come back and ask for help. And then listen for the trigger words. What are the key words? What are the issues that are going on within an organization? If you look at the supply chain and logistics right now, the cost of gasoline is low, so that's really good for a lot of these logistics and supply chain. Use that to your benefit. And then overall, spark curiosity by using those connectors, asking for help and listening, and using that humor and emotion. You're sparking a natural curiosity. So I'm going to start with the end in mind and then go from there. And we're going to talk about how we set a personal meeting for one of our clients, Art Within, and then how that movie got produced and is now on Netflix and Amazon. So from there, we're going to talk about how we got that. The first thing is research tips. Boolean search strings are like magnets. If you can create the correct Boolean search string, that will pull out great information for you to use. So an example of a Boolean search string is Jeffrey James means anything in those quotes, Jeffrey James, plus anything with Inc.com or CBS Interactive will be pulled back. So that's an example of a Boolean search. The second one is find your connectors. LinkedIn is a great way to find your connectors. On the side there to the right, it will show you how you're connected. And if you're connected to a group, then you can go down to their groups. It'll tell you if you're a member with them. If so, go to that member. In the member groups, search the member's name, and now you can send a free email. Most people don't know that. The third thing is search keywords and hashtags on social media. Social media like Twitter, Facebook, they're like walking encyclopedias, and people do not realize how they can take that information and reuse it. So being able to search on hashtags is great. For example, For example, the hashtag webinar is a way that if you're doing something with webinars and want to find out what other people have done on the topic, type that webinar and the topic name, and they will all come back on Twitter. So the social media research in action, the way that we actually got our appointment with Alcon Entertainment was we used this Boolean search string, Alcon Media plus The Blind Side. We knew that Alcon Media had created and produced the film Blind Side. So we did that, and what happened is there was content that came back, and there was some great interviews, and during us reading that interview information, we found out that Frederick Smith, the chairman of the board of FedEx, actually financed Alcon Entertainment, Alcon Media. So we were able to use that, and we used our connectors. So of the Cracker Jack film, Jeff Foxworthy is co-executive producer. So we wanted to ask for some help, and we went after Frederick Smith's EA. Remember the high influencer? High influencers are executive assistants. We went after Frederick Smith's EA, asked if we faxed over a return on investment type letter, would she please put it in front of Frederick, and if Frederick thought it was spot on with Andrew Kosove and the Alcon Entertainment, would he help us? And he did one step better. He became our sales assistant, as we call it. He went ahead and on our behalf, so that brought immediate credibility, sent a fax over to Andrew Kosove and Broderick Johnson and asked him to take an appointment with Brian Coley. So that's a great example of how do you do online research and social media, how do you spark curiosity, and then how do you set that appointment.
Thank you.
Larry?
This is a great critical area, and there are dozens of other things. We do webinars for companies all the time about many other aspects of social media contacting, and Marge just does a phenomenal job. We just finished one the other day, as a matter of fact. It's kind of a new vogue. You still have to have phone contacting at the end. It'll only get you so far usually, not always, but usually. But it's a great way to get in there initially so you can build relationships over time and move toward that person-to-person appointment. Now, another aspect of that phone contacting is source selling. This is from Dialexis. This is their coaching card, which is copyrighted. It is a part of the learning design that they give you in source selling training. And it's a very, very, very powerful methodology for understanding and navigating the receptionist, go for the president, and list the executive assistant for you versus being a barrier, and use as a referral for the decision maker. Now I'm going to get out here, and here is a quick video. Turn your speakers on, of some very senior salesperson for some big ticket services and their response after they went through the source selling training.
It feels natural, you know, when you go through this process of looking at the pieces, you know, from one section to the next, you feel like this is a normal procedure. You're not selling to a company when you're doing it this way.
I think this is some of the best sales training we've ever had. The process works. That's what's, you know, when I walked in here, my feeling was there's no way we're going to be able to get through to talk to a president of a company, and I'm shocked how many of them took our calls and then just passed us off, but at least we were with a decision maker, which gave us great referrals. That's fantastic.
Well, and you know, I didn't think that we would get through to so many decision makers as well. Writing the bull, I used to be of the thought, oh, didn't get through, hang up. And then I'd have to call that company 50 more times to get results. And today, because I wrote the bull and I was on the phone for almost 10 minutes, I got the appointment. So lesson learned, it was a good, very valuable session, and I love the program.
Is the SOAR process beneficial for senior salespeople?
Oh, I think absolutely. What I noticed is that it's no matter what you do as you cold call, as you move up in sales and you sell more business, you start to kind of lose that skill. And what this does is it reminds you what you should be doing, one, but we had to learn that ourselves. We had to force ourselves into understanding how do we do that. And the process itself, if I would have had this in the beginning, it would have made the biggest difference of getting there faster.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get through the receptionist. That's called the no information zone. The more you talk there, the more danger you are in. And also, death questions very often will come up. If you answer the death question, you are figuratively dead. We teach you how very nobly, very honestly, very ethically how to avoid answering those death questions and get through that gate with them. You're trying to get to the power zone, the president, executive assistant, who then may refer you to one of these people who might be the key decision maker, but you do that with a referral. A referral from the executive assistant. Jane Jones said we should talk. That's better than coming in cold. Bill Smith, the president, said we should talk. That's better than coming in cold. But we like to go high early, and that person might become your champion for you. So what we're after is get to the power zone through the gates. The hunt track is a very cool methodology to get through that with answers to the death questions. Riding the bull here means if you can't get to your CIO target, get the CFO or the COO. Use the hunt track to get a personal discussion with them. Then they can set up something with your target decision maker. It's amazing how that works. I can tell you story after story. A whole range of psychological words and flows are used. This has been tested over 15 years. Scores of big companies use it. And it's a way to really get past the guardians and go from there. Note, they need your solution, so protect them from inaction. If you have that personal giver, sheepdog conviction, you will learn these mechanics in a mindset way that will make this a very fun process to use once Dialexis trains you on it. So you want to avoid reception blockage. You want to avoid not available blockage. You get to the president and or decider via the EAP or the president. Route to the decider with power zone referral. Now here's the tip. These key principles are all in this book from Dialexis, Source Selling at Amazon.com. It's an amazing book. The training is much better, and we can facilitate that training being set up for your team if you wish. But here's a key methodology for getting through to the target decision maker, moving the process forward. But again, once you get through by SOAR, you must have your value statement ready. 30 seconds to get minutes. The value statement has to have a very quick grab of how you're unique, why that's valuable. You must capture that early on. Again, they're busy. Their reptilian mind is looking for reasons not to be on this call, to be honest with you. It's nothing personal against you. That's just the way it is. So what you got to do is show why you're different. Everybody's doing something in every solution space today. It may be weak, it may be great. They're doing something. How are you different than what other things are happening out there? That gets their antenna quivering. Oh, this might be a breakthrough opportunity. I'm going to listen. The structure I like to see used is the 4 Ps. How are we different? Product, pricing, our sales strategy, our availability, and our promotion, etc. Then the generic benefits. Coming out of my book, Primordial Leadership, I talk about the reptilian brain and the primal drives. Likewise, Dr. Edward DeBono has a book called Surpetition, How to Surpass the Competition. And his 4 generic benefits of safety, economic gains, ease and speed, and flexibility and growth are very, very critical to positioning your values structure. So to get a value statement put together, do your research, know the company, look at their annual report if they're public, what the president's letter says, look at their website, how they're trying to position, because they have the goal, they rule. How are you going to help them with those initiatives? Then what are your differentiators to help with that? What are the connectors? I can't tell you how many times I've done business because it was a fellow Virginia Tech graduate, or we've done business with Unisys, or IBM, or ex-military, etc. You're bonding person to person with that person, because that is a person on the other end. And then how are you going to provide value, solve a pain? And again, you have 30 seconds to get that type. And by the way, if you will contact Marge or I, we have a really neat little form that once you fill it out, we will help give you some ideas about your value statement in the first 30 seconds. We'll probably give you 3, so don't hesitate to do that if you wish. And again, all of that is in my B2B marketing ebook. It's supposed to be published in October on Amazon, and it goes into these things in much more detail. Now, objections are very normal. What you have to do is use the Judo principle. I've trademarked that term from my time in the military police, to leverage a force for you. The key to do that is read this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 1936, because it's a great book. In Section 3, Chapter 1, you can't win an argument. Find something to agree on first. The greatest teacher of all time, agree with thine adversaries quickly. When you get an objection, agree with the objection. Yeah, that's a key point. And find an overarching principle that you both agree on, because you're bonding mano a mano, or for the ladies, Latin puella a puella. So what you need to do is find a way to bond with that person heart to heart on that principle. Then you have to be very creative how to move your solution back to be a great answer for that principle. If you resist that objection early on, that discussion's over. If you agree and then move from there, then you have a chance to do that. Marge?
Thanks, Larry. So again, the purpose of this webinar was really to help you and assist you on how do you approach those executive contacts. How do you get in front of the decision maker or the high influencer, understand how to handle the value statements, how to overcome objections, how to qualify, and the end result is appointments. We really want you to get face-to-face appointments or by webinar or go-to-meeting appointments. And I love the 5 rings, the example of the metaphor of the Olympics that Larry uses. It's so important. If you want to get up to 90% contact rate with decision makers, you really need to understand how to get through those barriers, those gates. And once you get through those, and one way to get through them is the value statements. What's going to grab that prospect or that decision maker's attention? And then if they come back with a push-off or some objection, can you come back with a comeback that addresses that objection so that they want more? They want you to stay on the phone and tell them more. Qualify them again, because if it's not worth your time, you need to find that out up front. And then the end goal, as Larry mentioned, is that in-person appointment or over-the-phone appointment with some visuals. Again, we use social media and research. The mindset, it's the magnet. You really need to have that magnet so that you can stay on track, because cold calling is hard, and warm calling, you can call it whatever you want, but you have to have a live conversation, and you get rejected a lot. That's just part of the nature of the way that we have to do business. And then the mechanics, you know, how are you going to stay on the bull and be able to deliver that value statement in a way that either you do not get any objections, or if you do get objections, you're able to leverage it to lock in that actual appointment. So that concludes our webinar. We really thank you. We would love to be able to help you. Feel free to contact myself or Larry. Our information is right there. You can also link in with us, and our Twitter address is @RareAgent, and we would love to be able to help you. And here are some great true prospecting costs that we can help you avoid.
Let me add there, folks. I met Marge when I was brought in by investors to accelerate a company, and the single biggest problem they had was a very weak top of the funnel. So I went out with RFP for outsourced prospecting companies, because I knew I didn't want to incur all these expenses early on, and they're all, as CEO, I've managed these types of expenses many times. And Marge, a Rare Agent, won that. In the 2 years, I think we had 39 new customers, and prospecting was great. But if you have an internal prospecting group, you need to understand you're really paying these type of costs. Direct costs, allocated overhead, direct overhead, allocated overhead. Your CFO is aware of this, and just be aware of what it's costing you. Thank you so much, and this will end the webinar. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.